Mr. Speaker, my ancestors knew what it was like to have freedom taken away at the barrel of a gun. They knew what the twisted lies of imperialism sounded like. They knew what it was like to live without a vote, and they were taken from their homes, enslaved, shackled to ships, and forced to work for the profit of a foreign empire. Mr. Speaker, no act of authoritarianism is ever the same. But Vladimir Putin's actions in Ukraine in recent weeks are an ugly attempt to restore the Russian Empire. The Russian president denied the right of a sovereign nation to exist, unilaterally recognised separatist movements that seek to dismember Ukraine, and then under the cowardly shield of the night sent in tanks and soldiers to enforce his diktat. Putin's crimes against peace need a united and an immediate response. A full set of sanctions, possible now, provide continued support for the Ukrainian army and clean out the dirty Russian cash in our system. To stand up to Putin in the long term, we need to stand up to Putinism because Putin is not unique. He is the figurehead of an ideology that is being emulated by despots and dictators around the world. Putinism is imperialism. Putinism is authoritarianism. Putinism is ethno-nationalism. The Russian regime represents a fundamental geopolitical threat, and we will not defeat the broader threat until we tackle the ideology that underlies it. Part of our message to Putin must be that his actions are a historic mistake. This is not the first time a Russian leader has waded into a conflict as a result of his ideology. The same thing happened in East Berlin in 1953, when the USSR moved in to suppress riots. It happened in Hungary in 1956, when Russia sent in troops to invade the country, and it happened in Czechoslovakia in 1966 and in Afghanistan in 1979. None of these acts of aggression were successes in the long term for Russia, and civilians caught in the middle always pay a terrible price. In the invasion of Czechoslovakia, Russian soldiers strolled in convinced their invasion was liberating the Czech people from capitalism. But when they arrived, normal Czechs surrounded the invaded forces and they said, "Why are you here? You aren't liberators, you're aggressors," they said. The Russian troops were deflated. The propaganda they had been fed was a lie. The same thing will happen, Mr. Speaker, if Putin moves on the rest of Ukraine. Only the Ukrainian people should have the freedom to determine their own futures. This fundamental belief in self-determination is shared across so many of our borders. It is a founding principle of so many of our closest allies and partners across this great continent and beyond it. The logic of democracy is why Putin will never win in the end. Any reward he will gain will be Pyrrhic.